Chapter 1330. Although it was rumored that Lu Ming's strength was unparalleled, allowing him to defeat a peak second-layer martial dominator realm expert, however, they did not believe it in their hearts. Especially when they saw that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak spiritual god realm. It was ridiculous for a peak spiritual god realm expert to defeat a peak second-layer martial dominator realm expert. In their opinion, the rumors were too exaggerated. Indeed, who would believe such a thing without witnessing it with their own eyes? So, do you want to try? Lu Ming glanced at the armored martial dominator with a faint smile. That's right, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't believe a mere spiritual god can defeat a martial dominator realm expert. The armored martial dominator rose to his feet while his body emitted a strong battle intent. He was a battle-hungry man. Most of the people in the heaven-suppressing army were battle-hungry. Very well, let's fight outside. Lu Ming rose to his feet and took a step forward, appearing in the air outside the hall. He knew that the battle would not be so simple. If he did not show his strength, the heaven-suppressing army would not dare to place their bet on him. The armored martial dominator also flew out of the hall and arrived in the air, facing Lu Ming. Come, let's go and take a look. The rest of the people left the hall and stood in the air. The experts of the heaven-suppressing army also sensed the situation and rose into the air, glancing in Qin Nan's direction. Lu Ming, make your move. Show me what you got. The armored martial dominator's battle intent grew stronger. I'll make the first move. Sure, 3 moves. Lu Ming reached out 3 fingers and said, if you can withstand 3 moves from me without being defeated, I'll admit defeat. What? 3 moves? Lu Ming is so arrogant. Does he really possess the strength of a peak second-layer martial dominator realm expert? I don't believe it. Lu Ming's words caused an uproar among the crowd. The 100-battle martial dominator secretly glanced at Ciel Wan and saw him standing there with a calm smile on his face, as if he already knew the outcome. Could it be that Lu Ming is really as terrifying as the rumors say? The 100-battle martial dominator still found it hard to believe. Very well, let's see how you're going to defeat me in 3 moves. The armored martial dominator's eyes flickered with anger. Boom! A powerful aura exploded from his body. His vital qi was burning like a flame. His domain spread out and his muscles bulged. In an instant, he was wearing an armor and his strength was raised to the extreme. Although he didn't believe that Lu Ming was as exaggerated as the rumors said, there was no smoke without fire. When faced with Lu Ming, he still wouldn't be careless. Whoosh! Lu Ming used the primordial wind technique and his body flickered. He was like an illusion as he charged towards the armored martial emperor. At the same time, dragon roars resounded in the air as 9 streams of dragon force burst forth. Boom! Lu Ming punched out, and the faint image of the suppressing hell monument appeared on his fist. So strong. When Lu Ming punched out, the armored martial emperor's expression changed greatly. The power of this punch shocked him and made him feel an enormous pressure. The expressions of the heaven suppression army watching the battle changed drastically. The might of this punch was too terrifying. It wasn't something that a spiritual god could execute at all, and it had reached the ruler realm. Block it! The armored martial emperor roared and punched out as well. 2 fists collided in the air. Boom! Shockwaves spread out in all directions. The domain covering the armored martial emperor's body trembled violently as if it would collapse at any time. Then, the armored martial emperor's face turned pale and his body flew backward with a bang. The heaven suppression army gasped when they saw that the armored martial emperor had been sent flying with 1 punch. The armored martial emperor flew 100 miles before he could stabilize his body. Second move. Lu Ming said indifferently. He took a step forward and traveled 100 miles in an instant. At the same time, the 3rd bloodline appeared on top of his head. A stream of energy flowed into Lu Ming's body, and Lu Ming's strength increased again. Boom! The 2nd punch was punched out. Explosive breaking army fists. The armored martial emperor roared and his hair stood on end. He exerted all his strength and punched out. The 2 fists collided for the 2nd time. However, this time, the armored martial emperor was in a more miserable state. His domain was instantly destroyed, and his body and arms made cracking sounds. He was sent flying far away and blood spurted out of his mouth. The second move had seriously injured the armored martial emperor. "Do you want to come again?" Lu Ming's cold voice could be heard. Again, the armored martial emperor roared. He was a martial emperor, and he could not allow himself to be defeated by Lu Ming in 3 moves. He had to survive 3 moves. Boom! The armored martial emperor's body swelled up. At the same time, a huge shield appeared in his hand. The domain covered the shield, and it looked indestructible. He took a defensive stance for this move. "Third move," Lu Ming said. He stepped into the air and punched out for the 3rd time. Lu Ming did not use the hell-suppressing heaven skill for this punch. Instead, he used the intent realm martial technique. The fusion of 5 intent realm martial techniques. Now, the fusion of 5 intent realm martial techniques was more powerful than the hell-suppressing heaven skill. The main reason was that with the improvement of the hell-suppressing steely bloodline, the level of the hell-suppressing heaven skill had already surpassed the inferior divine level martial technique. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he could not exert the full power of the hell-suppressing heaven skill. When Lu Ming's cultivation broke through to the martial emperor realm, his true essence would be more abundant, and the power of the hell-suppressing heaven skill would naturally skyrocket. Clang! The punch landed on the armored martial emperor's shield. The shield was covered with the domain, but under the punch, the domain was like a bubble, instantly collapsing. The shield let out a violent roar, forming a sound wave that spread out and tore the space apart. Then, a shocking scene appeared. The shield was deformed. The place where Lu Ming's punch landed on was dented. The armored martial emperor's face changed drastically. Bang! The armored martial emperor could not hold the shield at all. The heavy shield was like a mountain, and it crashed into the armored martial emperor's body. Crackle! The armored martial emperor's body made a series of bone-breaking sounds. His body flew far away and fell to the ground. He vomited blood and could not move for a while. The armored martial emperor was defeated, completely defeated. Facing Lu Ming, he was crushed and had no power to resist. Gulp! Many people swallowed their saliva and looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of shock. They no longer doubted him. Lu Ming's combat strength could completely crush an ordinary martial emperor. It would not be too difficult for him to kill the armored martial emperor. Maybe the rumors were not exaggerated, and they were true. The people of the heaven-suppressing divine army changed their minds. Amazing, amazing. Little brother Lu is really unparalleled in the world, the first of all time. The 100 Battles martial emperor strode forward, his face full of admiration. However, the 100 Battles martial emperor changed his tone and said, "However, I still want to experience it. It's not that I doubt little brother Lu, but I have to be responsible for everyone in the heaven-suppressing divine army." The 100 Battles martial emperor stood in front of Lu Ming, his body emitting a powerful aura that was several times stronger than the armored martial emperor's. He was right. For the sake of the heaven-suppressing divine army, he had to know Lu Ming's combat strength clearly. Make your move. Chapter 1331. Fight. Without wasting any time, the 100 Battle martial emperor took a step forward and unleashed an invincible battle intent. With a wave of his hand, the heavens and earth crumbled. His strength was much stronger than the armor martial emperor's. The strength of a second-layer martial emperor was much stronger than a first-layer martial emperor. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He merged his 5 wills and threw out a punch. Bang! As the 2 fists collided, Lu Ming felt a tremendous force surging toward him. Lu Ming's body was knocked backward as the blood in his body churned. He could feel a piercing pain coming from his fist. Dong! Dong! The 100 Battle martial emperor stomped the ground and continued to charge toward Lu Ming like an invincible god of battle. The 100 Battle martial emperor was known as the 100 Battle martial emperor. He had walked out from countless battles and was extremely experienced in battle. His attacks were simple, but they were powerful enough to kill with a single strike. Roar! Lu Ming unleashed his 9 dragons bloodline and merged his bloodlines to fight against the 100 Battle martial emperor. Bang! 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 The 2 fought fiercely, from the ground to the sky, from the sky to the ground, and even to the alternate dimension. Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. He was no match for the 100-battle martial emperor. Although the 100-battle martial emperor's cultivation had not reached the peak of the second-layer martial emperor, he was at the mid-stage of the second-layer martial emperor. When Lu Ming executed the chaotic will, he could fight against a peak second-layer martial emperor. However, when he did not execute the chaotic will, his strength was weaker than the 100-battle martial emperor's. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 10 moves. Lu Ming, is this all you've got? How can the heaven-suppressing godly troop fight against the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Xie clan with you? The 100-battle martial emperor's voice could be heard. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace had formed an alliance with the Xie clan. Their next target would be the heaven-suppressing godly troop or the northern plains. How could the 100-battle martial emperor not know this? However, if he wanted to fight against the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Xie clan with Lu Ming and the others, he had to see hope. Lu Ming was his hope. If Lu Ming was as strong as the rumors said, why not take the risk? You want to see my full strength? There's no hurry. You can't beat me now. Lu Ming let out a long roar, the 9 dragon claws unceasingly striking out. The power of the 5 different wills was displayed to the extreme, and there were even signs of a breakthrough. Yes, Lu Ming's 5 types of martial skills were originally at the peak of the 4th level. He was only a sliver away from the 5th level. The 100 battles martial monarch was a veteran of hundreds of battles. He was a very good target for tempering. After fighting with the 100 battles martial monarch, Lu Ming's 5 types of martial techniques seemed to show signs of a breakthrough. Then let's see how long you can hide. The Baijian martial emperor shouted coldly as a long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear pierced through the air with incredible power. An ordinary level 1 martial emperor would be killed in 2 moves. The two of them crisscrossed, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Clang! Suddenly, one of the 9 dragons' claws grabbed the tip of the spear, creating a metallic sound. The 9 dragons retreated, but the Emperor of the 100 battles also retreated a few steps. Did your martial technique have a breakthrough? The 100 battles martial monarch blurted out in disbelief. Ha ha ha, thanks for your help, allowing my martial technique to have a breakthrough. Lu Ming burst out laughing. The others were left speechless. Just a moment ago, Lu Ming's martial technique had a breakthrough during the battle with the 100 battles martial monarch. Wasn't this talent a bit too insane? It's only a breakthrough, thus its power is still limited. The 100 battles martial monarch's voice could be heard as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Is that so? Lu Ming let out a calm smile as he lashed out with his dragon claws. Clang! After exchanging another blow with the 100 battles martial monarch, Lu Ming was knocked backward, but the 100 battles martial monarch was knocked backward too. How is this possible? How is it possible that its power has improved so much? The 100 battles martial monarch was in disbelief. Previously, Lu Ming had been completely suppressed by the 100 battles martial monarch, thus he could only dodge the attacks. However, Lu Ming had only improved one of his martial techniques by a level. How was it possible that its power had improved so much? Little did he know that Lu Ming had not only improved one of his martial techniques, but 5 of them. Lu Ming had combined the 5 types of martial techniques. Therefore, when he broke through, the 5 types of martial techniques would break through at the same time. Naturally, the power would soar. Previously, the 100 battles martial monarch had been no match against him, but now, he was able to stand his ground. Thank you, martial monarch. It's time for the battle to come to an end, Lu Ming said. Following this, a chaotic aura was emitted from the 9 dragons' bodies. Chaotic intent. Bang! The 9 dragons executed the hell-suppressing heavenly art and lashed out with their claws, which were surrounded by the chaotic intent. 100 battles godly fist. The 100 battles martial monarch withdrew his spear and executed his strongest attack. At that instant, the 100 battles martial monarch threw out 100 punches. Each of the punches contained a tremendous power that could penetrate the ground and destroy mountains and rivers. 100 brilliant fist intents gathered in the air and merged into a single fist intent, causing its power to skyrocket. Bang! The fist intent collided with the 9 dragons' claws. However, as soon as they made contact, the fist intent of the 100 Battles Martial Emperor was shattered instantly, causing it to explode like fireworks. The dragon claws did not stop there, crushing the rift. Puff! The 100 Battles Martial Monarch spat out mouthfuls of blood as if he had been struck by lightning. His figure was sent flying for a few thousand li, leaving a long, dark tunnel behind him. He stared at Lu Ming in astonishment, before he spat out another mouthful of blood. The others did not fare any better. Leaving their jaws dropped. The 100 Battles Martial Monarch had been defeated. Was this Lu Ming's true strength? Too powerful. He had managed to injure the 100 Battles Martial Monarch with a single attack. His strength was comparable to a peak second layer Martial Dominator Realm Cultivator. The rumors were not exaggerating at all. Martial Monarch, do you still want to continue? Lu Ming's voice could be heard from the 9 dragons' mouth. That won't be necessary. The 100 Battles Martial Monarch let out a sigh and shook his head. Your strength is comparable to a peak second layer Martial Dominator Realm Cultivator. Even I won't stand a chance against you at this rate. There's no need to embarrass yourself. Saying this, the 100 Battles Martial Monarch withdrew his aura. The 9 dragons shrunk while Lu Ming transformed into his true form. Well, an old voice could be heard all of a sudden, uttering 3 words in a row. Far away in the sky, an old man with a slender figure was walking through the air. The old man was extremely old. Most of his white hair had almost fallen out. His skin was dry, and his face was filled with wrinkles. However, the people of the heaven-suppressing army, including the 100 Battles Martial Monarch, immediately greeted the old man. Greetings, Commander. Commander. Lu Ming's eyes glistened as he inspected the old man with a stern look. Although the old man seemed to be quite old, Lu Ming did not dare to underestimate him. The reason being that Lu Ming could sense a terrifying aura inside the old man's body. Peak second layer Martial Dominator Realm. The old man was actually a peak second layer Martial Dominator Realm expert. I've long heard that the heaven-suppressing army has an old commander with an unparalleled strength, but I've never had the chance to meet him before. I finally get to meet him today. Ciel Wan stepped forward and said with a smile. Greetings, Martial Monarch of the Chaotic Sky. Chapter 1332. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. The Heaven Suppression Army was indeed not simple. There was still such an expert hiding in the dark. Such an expert had never appeared in any of the previous battles. If the Heaven Suppression Army was like this, then how could the Xie clan not have any hidden trump cards? The old general of the Heaven Suppression Army first bowed to Ciel Wan before looking at Lu Ming. He revealed a warm smile and said, Indeed, there are new talents in every generation. This old man admires little brother Lu's strength. Old general, you are too polite. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Emperor Wan, little brother Lu, this old man can give you a definite answer. The Heaven Suppression Army will definitely participate in the battle 7 days later, the old general said. Lu Ming and Ciel Wan were overjoyed by his words. The old general's words meant that he had agreed to join forces with them to head to the Holy City 7 days later to fight the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Xie clan. The 100 Battles Martial Emperor and the other experts of the Heaven Suppression Army were surprised, but they did not say anything. They also understood that the Heaven Suppression Army could not stay out of this battle. If the Northern Plains were defeated, the Heaven Suppression Army would not be able to escape the fate of destruction. Joining forces with the Northern Plains was their only chance. All right. Old General, everyone, we will meet in 7 days. See you in 7 days, Lu Ming and Ciel Wan said before taking their leave. The goal of this trip could be considered a success. After returning to the 100 Beast tribe, Lu Ming continued to cultivate in seclusion. Another 4 days later, there were only 3 days left before the alliance between the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Xie clan. In a secret room, Lu Ming's glabella shone as the second body stepped out of Lu Ming's body. Following that, Lu Ming's main body waved his hand, and the mountain river diagram flew out and flew to the second body. The second body kept it. After that, The main body closed his eyes while the second body revealed a smile. Let's head to the holy city first. The second body smiled and took a step forward, disappearing from the place. After a while, the second body appeared billions of miles away from the 100-beast tribe. Lu Ming's plan was to have his second body enter the holy city first to gather information about Supreme Nine Yang, Bai Shijin, and the others. Lu Ming's consciousness sank into the second body. The second body was just like his main body. Let's disguise ourselves first. Lu Ming took out a grey robe and put it on. At the same time, his figure and face began to change. Finally, he transformed into a sallow-faced youth. His appearance was very ordinary. He was the kind of person who would not be easily noticed in a crowd. Following this, inscription runes appeared on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's aura began to converge until he was only a 7th rank inscription master. Then he took a step forward. Space split open, and Lu Ming disappeared. Now that Ming Lian's second body had become a level 9 ruler, his speed was incredibly fast. In less than half a day, the holy city appeared in front of him. There were experts guarding the gates of the holy city. The checks were very strict. Everyone who entered had to go through strict checks. However, Lu Ming had inherited the legacy of the heavenly profound saint. His inscription skills had reached perfection. He used an inscription array to conceal himself. Even an emperor would not be able to detect him. Lu Ming entered the holy city easily. There are so many people. Walking on the streets of the holy city, Lu Ming realized that there were more people coming and going than when he was in the holy city. It was normal. There were still a few days before the alliance ceremony between the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Xie clan. Now, the Xie clan and their allies had all entered the holy city. Many of the forces under the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace had also come to the holy city. Naturally, the holy city was bustling. This evening, the Xie clan's Xie Yang, Xie Zhen, and the other princes will be hosting a banquet at the Drunken Immortal Circle. All the young geniuses are welcome to attend. Lu Ming had just entered the holy city when he heard this news. Underworld child. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. In the end, only the underworld child, the unscrupulous monk, and the moonless bodhisattva had returned. However, Long Chen had not returned. No one knew what had happened. Lu Ming really wanted to know. Then the Drunken Immortal Circle will be bustling with noise and excitement this evening. We can't miss such a grand scene, indeed. Back then, 12 top geniuses went to the Divine Ruins continent. In the end, only 3 of them returned. 2 of them were from the Western Desert. The Western Desert's sage monk has always stayed out of things. In other words, the underworld child is now the top genius. That's right. The underworld child is destined to roam the divine wilderness in the future. That's why the Xie clan's princes specially invited the underworld child to a banquet to curry favor with him. Many people were discussing, and Lu Ming heard quite a bit of news. Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile as he casually strolled on the streets. Soon, it was evening. Lu Ming headed for the Drunken Immortal Circle. The Drunken Immortal Circle was quite famous in the holy city. The environment inside was elegant and there was a place for experts to spar. Therefore, it had become a gathering place for martial experts. At the entrance of the Drunken Immortal Circle, there were many young elites coming and going. At the entrance, there were people checking, but they would only check casually before letting people in. After entering the Drunken Immortal Circle, Lin Fan came to an open space filled with tables and chairs. Many people had already taken their seats. Lu Ming scanned the place and saw many familiar faces. Many of them were second-grade and third-grade geniuses from some overlord forces. On the highest platform, Lu Ming saw even more familiar figures. Xie Yang, Xie Zhen, the Xie clan's princes, and the Sky Martial Sword faction's geniuses, Wu Chengkong. Previously, Lu Ming knew that the Sky Martial Sword faction had already submitted to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Therefore, Wu Chengkong and the others had also become part of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. The underworld child is here, someone said. In the distance, a black-robed youth walked over with his hands behind his back. He exuded a domineering aura. This person was the underworld child. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xie Yang, Xie Zhan, Wu Chengkong, and the others quickly flew into the sky to welcome the underworld child. Haha, I am honored that brother underworld child is here. Xie Yang laughed heartily. Not bad, not bad. Brother underworld child's presence brings light to my humble dwelling, Xie Zhan said, not to be outdone. Following which, the other geniuses started to flatter the underworld child. Currently, the underworld child was the #1 genius among the younger generation in the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, including the Xie clan. He was also the only overlord genius. His future was limitless. Naturally, they had to curry favor with him. Millimeter, you are all too polite, the underworld child said with his hands behind his back, looking high and mighty. Xie Zhan and the others did not mind. They welcomed the underworld child to the platform and started to flatter him again. The underworld child pursed his lips and pretended to be calm. Actually, he was enjoying it very much. He enjoyed this feeling very much. He was intoxicated by the feeling of being the moon surrounded by the stars. In the past, he was also the moon surrounded by the stars. As the overlord genius of the divine wilderness continent, he stood at the peak. However, there were more than 10 people who could compete with him. His presence was undoubtedly weakened. Chapter 1333. Now, in the entire divine wilderness mainland, the Western Desert doesn't care about worldly affairs. Among the younger generation, besides Lu Ming, Brother Ming is the best. Amidst the compliments, a voice suddenly sounded. The place fell silent. Lu Ming. It was as if the name Lu Ming had a magical power that made everyone shut up. Everyone looked at each other, but no one said a word. Lu Ming's name was like a huge mountain pressing down on everyone's hearts. He was in the same generation as them, but his current strength was enough to kill emperors and fight against peak second-layer martial emperors. He stood at the peak of the divine desolate continent and looked down on the world. Among his peers, no one could be compared to Lu Ming. The so-called geniuses here were far too inferior compared to Lu Ming. They were so far apart that they did not know how far apart they were. Underworld child's face darkened, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The young man who had just spoken turned pale and broke out in cold sweat. He knew that he had said something wrong. He had wanted to flatter Underworld child, but he had subconsciously used Lu Ming's name. Brother Ming, please forgive me. I didn't mean to. The young man quickly apologized and stammered. It would have been better if he hadn't explained himself. Underworld child's face darkened even more. What an idiot. Get out of my way, Xie Zhan scolded, and the young man quickly left. Humph, although Lu Ming is strong, he doesn't know how to judge the situation. He won't live for long and will die eventually. When that time comes, who in the world will be able to compete with Brother Ming? Xie Zhan continued. Underworld child's face turned slightly better after hearing this. That's right. Lu Ming won't live for long. He still wants to go against the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Xie clan. He's courting death. Such a brainless person. Even if he has some fighting strength, he's still a brainless brute. In my opinion, he's too weak compared to Brother Ming. The others immediately flattered Underworld child. A smile reappeared on Underworld child's face. All of you are right. Actually, Lu Ming's talent is ordinary. He is just lucky and his combat ability is slightly stronger than mine. However, because of this, he is arrogant and condescending. Back when he was in the continent of God's ruins, he even dared to offend the elites of Yuanlu's celestial god sect. Such a brainless person will definitely have limited achievement. Even if he doesn't die in the divine wilderness continent, he will be killed by the experts of the celestial sect. Underworld child said disdainfully. Brother Mingzi is right. Brother Ming is right. Another wave of compliments came from the others. Brother Ming, how about this little brother treat you to a good show? Xie Zhan said with a smile. Oh, what show is it? Underworld child revealed an interested expression. Brother Ming, please wait a moment. Xie Zhan smiled, and then his voice spread far and wide. Bring him here. Yes. Soon, a group of Emperor Dragon guards led 10-odd people over. Sun Lin, Tai Xing, among the crowd, Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. The 10-odd people who were brought over were the law enforcement army that Lu Ming had met when he was in the sacred city. Tai Xing, the burly chimpanzee, Sun Lin, the Emperor Dragon Guard who had been transferred to the law enforcement army by Xie. At this moment, Tai Xing and the others were in a sorry state. Their auras were weak and their faces were pale. It was obvious that they had suffered serious injuries. Soon, Tai Xing and the others were brought to Xie. They are. Underworld Child was slightly stunned. He did not understand why Xie had brought 10-odd burly men over. Brother Ming, these people are very close to Lu Ming. They were Lu Ming's subordinates back then, Xie said. Xie, you are despicable and shameless. You want us to slander the commander? Dream on. Tai Xing roared. Shut up. What slander? Xie reprimanded with a cold gaze. I'll give you one more chance. Tell me, did Lu Ming use despicable means to kill others to cultivate his martial arts? Also, did he deliberately harm young girls to nourish his young? Is that why his cultivation improved so quickly? You are his subordinates, so you should know very well. Let me remind you that you'd better think carefully before you speak. Don't forget what happened to your companions, Xie said coldly as his cold gaze swept over Tai Xing and the others' faces turned ugly. Some of them even looked terrified. Bullshit, don't even think about slandering the commander. The commander is a man of indomitable spirit. Why would he do such a thing? Tai Xing roared. That's right, why would the commander do such a thing? Don't even think about using us to ruin the commander's reputation. You killed so many of our brothers. The commander will definitely come back to avenge us. Someone else also shouted. In the crowd, Lu Ming's gaze turned even colder. He had a rough idea of what was going on. Lu Ming was on good terms with the law enforcement army. It was obvious that Xie had captured the law enforcement army and wanted to force them to slander Lu Ming, saying that Lu Ming was using evil methods to nourish his young. That was why his cultivation improved so quickly. In this way, not only could he ruin Lu Ming's reputation, but he could also infuriate Lu Ming. In the alliance ceremony a few days later, Lu Ming would be more likely to appear and kill Lu Ming. However, the law enforcement army refused to comply. Moreover, according to the crowd's conversation, the other law enforcement army members had already been killed by Xie. There were only a dozen of them left. Damn it. Lu Ming's killing intent was as cold as a knife in his heart. Xie's face was extremely gloomy as he berated, I'll give you one more chance. Speak or not, die. Don't even think about it. I'd rather die than do such a despicable thing, Tai Xing roared. The others also glared at him, unafraid of death. They, the law enforcement army, had a low status in the imperial city and lived a miserable life. In order to survive, they had to curry favor from both sides, living without any dignity. It was Lu Ming who allowed them to hold their heads high. After Lu Ming joined the law enforcement army, they could finally hold their heads high. They could act as the law enforcement army on behalf of the sacred emperor, returning to the situation of 30,000 years ago when the law enforcement army intimidated the world. Therefore, they were extremely grateful to Lu Ming. Therefore, they couldn't slander Lu Ming. Xie, as a prince, you did such a despicable thing. You're a disgrace to the imperial family and the Xie family. Tai Xing continued to roar. Shut up. You're courting death. Xie was enraged. A battle knife appeared in his hand and he slashed at Tai Xing's neck. He brought Tai Xing and the others here to curry favor with the Nether Child, but he didn't expect Tai Xing and the others to bite him back, causing his reputation to suffer a blow. He wished he could chop Tai Xing and the others into pieces. The blade light was cold and as fast as lightning, slashing at Tai Xing. At this moment, Tai Xing's cultivation was sealed and his aura was weak. It was impossible for him to dodge. Tai Xing was about to die under Xie's blade. Whoosh! At this moment, a wine cup flew out from the crowd and collided with Xie's battle knife. Clang! Inscriptions flashed on the wine cup and collided with the battle knife. Buzz! Chapter 1334. Who is it? Xie Yang berated. At this moment, Xie finally reacted. His face flushed red as he crawled up from the ground. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he scanned his surroundings and roared, "Who is it? Who is it? Who dares to attack me? Come out and die." Under everyone's gaze, Xiezhen's battle blade was struck by a wine cup and he fell to the ground on his butt. This was undoubtedly a humiliating matter, causing Xiezhen's murderous intent to reach its peak. Hee hee. A soft laugh came from the crowd as a youth with a sallow face stepped out. This youth was naturally Lu Ming. Although he didn't have a deep relationship with Tai Xing and the rest, they had still worked together for a period of time. Therefore, there was still some friendship between them. Moreover, Tai Xing and the rest were implicated because of him. How could Lu Ming sit by and do nothing? Just now, that wine cup was thrown by Lu Ming. As a prince, you actually did such a thing to slander others. How despicable and shameless. The ancient Saint dynasty only has itself to blame for coming to this stage. It's inevitable. Lu Ming sneered as he walked towards Xiezhen step by step. How dare you? Impudent. You're courting death. Some of the princes of the Xie family scolded as they stared coldly at Lu Ming. Brat, how dare you interfere in my matters? Since you're here today, don't think of leaving. Xiezhen's voice was cold as he waved his hand and said, "Attack, cripple his cultivation." Yes. 7 to 8 Imperial Dragon Guards flew out with all kinds of weapons unsheathed as they charged towards Lu Ming. However, the cultivation of these Imperial Dragon Guards was only at the 9th level of the Spirit Embryo realm. In Lu Ming's eyes, they weren't worth mentioning. Wang. On the ground, inscriptions suddenly shone as a huge array appeared. Within the array, dozens of long rods were condensed and smashed towards the Imperial Dragon Guards. Bam! Ah! Instantly, the sound of whips and blood-curdling screams filled the air. Those Imperial Dragon Guards did not have the slightest ability to fight back under the long rod's strikes. In the blink of an eye, they were all whipped to the ground. Each of them was whipped a dozen times, and their flesh was lacerated. It was a tragic sight. Xiezhen's face paled as he retreated. His cultivation was only at the 9th level of Spirit Embryo realm and wasn't much stronger than the Emperor Dragon Guards. Since Lu Ming could easily beat up 7 to 8 Emperor Dragon Guards, he naturally wasn't his match. "Mph, so you're an inscription master." Xie Yang coldly snorted, his body exuding a powerful aura. Xie Yang was a second-rate genius, and his cultivation had broken through into the domain enlightened spirit god realm a long time ago. His combat strength was formidable, and he was countless times stronger than Xiezhen. 10th Prince, this guy is audacious to the extreme. If he dares to make a move here, then in my opinion, he must have been sent here by Lu Ming. Allow me to kill him. A voice sounded behind Xie Yang. A young man stepped out and appeared in front of Xie Yang. Wu Chengkong, the #1 genius of the Sky Martial Sword Sect, Wu Chengkong. Wu Chengkong is going to make a move. This guy is dead for sure. In recent years, Wu Chengkong's cultivation has become more and more terrifying. With him making a move, this guy is dead for sure. This guy is a fool. He dares to make a move here. It would be strange if he didn't die. Discussions broke out at the scene. Currently, there weren't many overlord geniuses left in the divine wilderness continent. Wu Chengkong was one of the strongest geniuses below the overlord geniuses. His current status was naturally extraordinary, and he was second only to the underworld child. With Brother Wu making a move, I'm relieved. Xie Yang said as he took 2 steps back. Kid, are you going to surrender or wait for me to make a move? 2 rays of light shot out from Wu Chengkong's eyes like 2 sharp swords. Wu Chengkong, you were beaten like a dog by Lu Ming time and time again. Instead of hiding and cultivating, you dare to come out and make a ruckus. Aren't you afraid of being beaten again? Lu Ming curled his lips and mocked. Shut up. You're courting death. Wu Chengkong was furious. Back then, he was beaten by Lu Ming time and time again. That was his dark history and shame. He would be furious if anyone mentioned it in front of him. I'll cut off your limbs and make you suffer a fate worse than death. Wu Chengkong roared as he unsheathed his battle sword. A terrifying sword chi slashed towards Lu Ming. How powerful. 3rd level spirit god. He's a 3rd level spirit god. Wu Chengkong has broken through to the third-level spirit god. Wu Chengkong's attack caused a commotion. A third-level spirit god. Apart from those overlord geniuses, no one could compete with him. In their hearts, Lu Ming was dead meat. After all, Lu Ming didn't look old. He was very young and belonged to the younger generation. However, they had never seen him before. Obviously, he wasn't famous. How strong could an unknown young man be to be able to fight with Wu Chengkong? Buzz. Inscriptions appeared in front of Lu Ming again. A formation appeared once more. It was exactly the same as the one that had beaten the Imperial Dragon Guards. A dozen long rods appeared and lashed towards Wu Chengkong. Clang. Sword chi whistled and slashed through. The rods were cut in half. The sword chi did not stop and continued to slash towards Lu Ming. Bam! 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 Lu Ming took a few steps forward. Inscriptions appeared on the ground and another formation appeared. Just like before, a dozen long rods appeared. However, the sword chi swept through and the long rods were cut in half again. But immediately, another formation appeared, and another staff was formed. Haha, he's still using such a formation against Wu Chengkong. His dead meat. That's all he has. How dare he be so arrogant here? He really doesn't know what's good for him. Someone sneered. Whoosh, whoosh. Sword chi whistled and the long rods were cut in half. Let's end this. Wu Chengkong roared and shook his battle sword. A sword radiance flashed and dozens of sword chi slashed towards Lu Ming. Every ray of sword chi was extremely powerful. That kid is dead meat. That was the thought that popped up in everyone's mind. However, Lu Ming remained calm as if he did not see the sword chi. He took a step forward again. Buzz, buzz, buzz. This time, more than a dozen spell formations appeared on the ground, all of which looked exactly the same as the first spell formation. All of them had long staffs. In total, there were hundreds of long rods lashing towards Wu Chengkong. So what if there are a lot of them? Break! Wu Chengkong shouted and his sword chi grew stronger. However, in the next moment, his expression changed drastically. Originally, those long sticks were no different from withered branches in his eyes. With a single slash of his sword, he could easily cut them apart. However, this time around, when the sword chi landed on the long sticks, clanging sounds rang out and sparks flew everywhere. However, those long sticks were completely undamaged. On the other hand, the sword chi that he had sent out collapsed after being hit by the long rods. Break! Wu Chengkong's expression changed. He raised his cultivation to the maximum and slashed out with his battle sword. Clang! 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 However, his sword chi was completely useless against those long rods. As the long rods swung down, his sword chi was scattered. How could this be? Chapter 1335. Wu Chengkong panicked and was shocked. Without any hesitation, Wu Chengkong performed bloodline fusion and transformed into a battle sword. He slashed at the long sticks madly. Clang! Clang! The long sticks hit Wu Chengkong's battle sword. The battle sword shook violently. In just a few breaths, Wu Chengkong's battle sword collapsed and he returned to his human form. No! Wu Chengkong screamed in horror. He spat out blood and tried to escape. However, there were long rods all around him, sealing off all his escape routes. Hundreds of long sticks rained down on Wu Chengkong. The shadows of the sticks completely engulfed Wu Chengkong. Ah! Ah! A shrill scream resounded in the drunken immortal garden. Everyone who was watching the battle looked at each other in dismay. How could this be? The result was completely different from what they had expected. Wu Chengkong was the strongest genius below the giants. His cultivation had reached the third-level spirit god realm. How many people among the younger generation in the divine wilderness continent could defeat him? Moreover, it was Lu Ming, a brat who they did not know at all. It was a matter of killing him in one move. However, the result was completely out of everyone's expectations. Lu Ming had been using the same formation all along. However, wasn't that formation very weak at the beginning? It couldn't stop Wu Chengkong at all. Why did it suddenly become so strong later on? The power of those long rods increased by an unknown amount. Even Wu Chengkong found it difficult to block them. The shrill scream was still ringing. After 10 minutes, the hundreds of long sticks disappeared, revealing Wu Chengkong's figure. Miserable, it was too miserable. Everyone who saw Wu Chengkong's figure could not help but think of the word miserable in their minds. Wu Chengkong was lying on the ground like a dead dog. He had been beaten countless times. His clothes were in tatters and his body was full of scars. His face was swollen like a pig's head. His nose bridge was broken and all of his teeth were missing. His mouth was crooked. If no one said that he was Wu Chengkong, no one would have recognized him. Most importantly, Wu Chengkong's aura was extremely weak. His cultivation had been destroyed. The whip just now had destroyed Wu Chengkong's cultivation. Wu Chengkong had become a cripple. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air, their bodies cold. This was especially the case for some of the second and third-rate chosen. They couldn't help but back up and look at Lu Ming with serious expressions. Who was this person? Where did he come from? How could he be so strong? Moreover, this person practiced the Tao of inscription. In the divine wilderness continent, there were only a handful of geniuses who practiced the Tao of inscription. None of them could defeat Wu Chengkong. They racked their brains but still could not figure out who this person was. Could this person be Lu Ming? But he had never heard that Lu Ming had such deep attainments in the Tao of inscription. Who are you? Underworld Child's eyes were dark as he stared at Lu Ming. He wanted to see something from Lu Ming's expression, but he was disappointed. Lu Ming's face was very calm. He couldn't see anything. Who am I? You are not qualified to know. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Hee, how arrogant. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you defeated Wu Chengkong. I can kill Wu Chengkong with a flick of my finger. Underworld Child glanced at Wu Chengkong casually and smiled disdainfully. Bang! Underworld Child took a step forward and his aura surged crazily. Today was a banquet specially prepared for him. However, Lu Ming had attacked continuously, injuring Xiezhen and crippling Wu Chengkong. This was a slap to Underworld Child's face. There was no way he would let Lu Ming leave alive. Underworld Child's aura grew stronger and stronger. 3rd level spiritual god, 4th level spiritual god, peak 4th level spiritual god. It didn't stop even after reaching the peak 4th level spiritual god. Boom. Underworld Child's aura had reached the 5th level spiritual god. Gasps could be heard at the scene. Underworld Child is indeed a magnet-level genius. His cultivation has reached the 5th level spiritual god realm. Underworld Child has awakened a 9th level divine bloodline. His combat strength is incomparably strong. A 5th level spiritual god can already kill a high-level spiritual god. This is too shocking. Underworld Child was surrounded by Underworld Chi. He smiled confidently and said, "Brat, I don't care who you are. Today, you will die." Swoosh. A pitch-black machete appeared in Underworld Child's hand. He pounced at Lu Ming and slashed his machete at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood there motionlessly. This time, no inscription appeared and no array appeared. In an instant, Underworld Child's machete was about to land on Lu Ming's head. At this moment, Lu Ming extended 2 fingers and pointed at Underworld Child. Swoosh. A ray of sword chi appeared between Lu Ming's fingers. Poochie. Underworld Child's machete was easily cut in half. The sword chi continued to slash at Underworld Child. Not good. Underworld Child's expression changed drastically. He felt the threat of death from Lu Ming's sword chi. At this moment, his heart was trembling. Even his soul was trembling. Retreat, retreat, retreat. He roared in his heart and frantically retreated. At the same time, he used all his means to defend himself. But soon, he despaired. The sword chi in Lu Ming's fingers could cut through everything. Under everything, all of his defenses were cut through like tofu. Then, he felt a chill between his brows. In the next moment, he fell into boundless darkness and lost consciousness. What's going on? The surrounding onlookers were puzzled. At first, they saw Underworld Child attack Lu Ming. Then, they saw a ray of sword chi burst out from Lu Ming's fingers. Then, They saw Underworld Child frantically retreat. But after retreating a few meters, Underworld Child's body stopped. He stood there motionless. Many people were puzzled and did not understand what had happened. But immediately, everyone's eyes widened. Because at this moment, a bloody scar appeared between Underworld Child's brows. The scar quickly grew longer and longer. Then, everyone saw Underworld Child's body split in two. Dead. Underworld Child was dead. He was cut in half by a sword. How was this possible? Underworld Child's cultivation was at the 5th level of the spirit god realm. Moreover, he was a giant genius. With his combat strength, it would be easy for him to kill a 7th level spirit god. Such a genius was killed by Lu Ming's sword Qi as easily as killing a chicken. How was this possible? How could Lu Ming be so strong? Who are you? Who are you? Xie Yang and Xie Zhen were so scared that their faces turned pale. They roared crazily. Lu Ming curled his lips slightly, and the sword Qi in his fingers disappeared. This was a formation carved with his body. With his cultivation as an emperor, the formation carved by him was naturally terrifying. Using it to deal with Underworld Child was a waste of talent. Buzz. Inscriptions flashed under Lu Ming's feet. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in front of Xie Zhen. Ah, what are you trying to do? This is the holy city. What are you trying to do? Xie Zhen roared in fear. I'm going to search your soul. Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded. He stretched out a finger and pointed at Xie Zhen's forehead. Chapter 1336. Lu Ming's finger tapped on Xie Zhen's forehead, and an inscription flashed. Xie Zhen's expression stiffened, and his gaze became unfocused as if he was in a daze. Lu Ming was using a powerful method to search Xie Zhen's soul. Inscribers had some methods that were even more bizarre and mysterious than martial artists. The soul-searching technique was obtained from the heavenly profound saint. Lu Ming wanted to find out the whereabouts of Supreme Nine Sons, by Shijin, and the others from Xie Zhen. Stop, you bastard. Kill. A few angry shouts could be heard and a few figures leaped across the air. As soon as their voices fell, a few terrifying attacks were launched toward Lu Ming. Experts from the Xie clan had arrived, and these people were all at the 7th level of the spirit god realm. Lu Ming did not move at all. However, a large array suddenly appeared in the sky. The large array glowed and condensed into a few battle swords. With a slash, a few 7th level spirit gods were killed in the air. So strong. In the drunken immortal garden, many young geniuses were trembling in their hearts. Lu Ming was too strong. Killing 7th level spirit gods was as easy as chopping vegetables. This person shouldn't be someone from the younger generation, but someone from the older generation who snuck in. Someone guessed. Apart from Lu Ming, they couldn't think of a second person in the younger generation who could be so powerful. However, this person was obviously an inscriber, so he shouldn't be Lu Ming. Therefore, many people guessed that this person should be someone from the older generation. No. At this moment, Lu Ming frowned. He realized that Xie Zhen didn't know the whereabouts of Supreme Nine Sons, by Shijin, and the others at all. Maybe Xie Zhen's cultivation is too low, so he doesn't have the right to know about this. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he looked at Xie Yang in the next moment. Xie Yang was a second-grade prodigy. Apart from Xian Yanjuan, he was the strongest person in the younger generation of the Xie clan. Maybe he knew. Xie Yang's expression changed when Lu Ming's gaze landed on him. Without a second thought, he soared into the sky, intending to leave this place. However, Lu Ming gently waved his hand in the air, and dense inscriptions suddenly appeared above Xie Yang. A large formation appeared, condensing into chains that wrapped around Xie Yang. Xie Yang's cultivation was at the 2nd level of the spirit god realm, but no matter how hard he tried, it was completely useless against the chains. Lu Ming released Xie Zhen and walked towards Xie Yang. Xie Zhen's eyes were still unfocused, as if he had lost his mind. Yes, Xie Zhen was already an idiot. Just now, when Lu Ming had searched his soul, he hadn't held back at all. He had used the most direct, most violent, and most barbaric method to search for what Lu Ming wanted. Therefore, Xie Zhen's soul had suffered an indelible injury. He had already lost his mind. Save me, save me. When Xie Yang saw Lu Ming walking towards him, he screamed in fear. You're courting death. How dare you act presumptuously in the holy city? Exterminate 9 generations of your family. In the distance, surging roars sounded out. More Xie clan experts had arrived. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At least a dozen experts charged over. Numerous terrifying auras shot out like smoke signals. The weakest aura was at the 9th level of the Spirit God Realm, and there was even a perfected Spirit God Realm expert. The strongest was shockingly a Supreme Realm expert. In an instant, a dozen experts appeared in the sky above the drunken immortal garden and launched an attack at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand, and dense inscriptions appeared in the sky. They seemed to have a life of their own, and numerous large formations were condensed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The large formation glowed and formed a few dozen thick chains that wrapped around the experts. After that, Lu Ming didn't even look at these people. He directly appeared before Xie Yang and pointed his finger at the space between Xie Yang's eyebrows. Soul search. Bang, bang, bang. In the sky, explosions continued. The dozen experts joined forces, but they couldn't break through Xie Yang's defense. The dozens of chains seemed to have a life of their own as they waved and wrapped around the experts, causing them to be exhausted. Lu Ming pointed his finger at the space between Xie Yang's eyebrows. After about a dozen breaths, his eyes suddenly lit up. He found it. He found the whereabouts of Supreme 9 Sons and the others. In Xie Yang's memory, Supreme 9 Sons, Bai Shijin, and the others were imprisoned in the 9 underworlds. It was the 9 underworlds again. Back then, Xian Yanqing was imprisoned in the 9 underworlds, and Xiel Wan was also rescued from the 9 underworlds. Looks like I have to make a trip to the 9 underworlds again, Lu Ming muttered, and his finger left the space between Xie Yang's eyebrows. Xie Yang collapsed on the ground like a pile of mud, panting heavily. His entire body was drenched in sweat. He didn't turn into an idiot like Xiezhen. His cultivation was much stronger than Xiezhen's. He had reached the 2nd level of the Spirit God Realm, and his soul was stable. Therefore, his soul wasn't damaged much. Whoosh. Lu Ming waved his hand. Inscriptions faintly flashed on his arm, and a ray of sword qi cut through the void. Puff, puff. Those experts didn't even have time to scream before they were killed in the air by the sword qi. Haha, let's go. Lu Ming laughed and took a step forward. His figure suddenly disappeared without a trace. In the drunken immortal garden, many young geniuses looked at each other. Their eyes were still filled with shock. He was too strong. No matter what their cultivation was, he was killed in one move. Even Supremes were the same. A word appeared in everyone's mind. An emperor. Lu Ming was most likely an emperor in disguise. An emperor had sneaked into the holy city. Boom, boom. In the depths of the holy city, a terrifying aura soared into the sky. A few figures appeared in the sky above the drunken immortal garden. The vast pressure made all the young people tremble, as if they were about to kneel down. Emperors. The few people who appeared later were all emperors. The few emperors spread out their spiritual senses to search for Lu Ming, but they couldn't find any trace of him. Search the entire city. Don't let anyone suspicious go. A ruler gave the order. Unfortunately, half a day had passed, and there was still no news of Lu Ming. Everything that happened in the drunken immortal garden had spread throughout the holy city. An unfamiliar young man first crippled Wu Chengkong, then killed the underworld child. What was even more terrifying was that even a Supremes couldn't fight back in his hands. One of the emperors, Xiezhen, became an idiot because of this person. When the news spread, it caused an uproar in the holy city. Many people knew that the northern plains, or the divine army, had begun to move. Everyone was guessing who this young man was. Some guessed that it was Lu Ming, because Lu Ming was most likely to sneak into the holy city to save Supreme Ninyang and the others. But immediately, someone refuted, saying that this person cultivated the path of inscription, and shouldn't be Lu Ming. Activate the divine secret instrument. In the end, the Xie family's higher-ups gave the order. The Xie family activated the divine secret instrument. Their target was Lu Ming. Finally, when the instrument was activated, they found that Lu Ming was still in the northern plains, not in the holy city. In the northern plains, in a secret room of the 100 Beast tribe, a projection of the divine secret instrument appeared above Lu Ming's main body. It seems that the divine secret instrument also has a weakness. It can only find my main body, but not my second body. Lu Ming's main body ended his cultivation, opened his eyes, and smiled. Seal. Chapter 1337. Just as the Xie clan and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace were searching for Lu Ming, Lu Ming's second body had already changed his appearance. Even his aura had changed. The Xie clan and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace could not find Lu Ming at all. Not far from the entrance of the 9 underworlds, a black-faced youth arrived. This black-faced youth was Lu Ming. The security is even tighter. Lu Ming watched from afar. The entrance of the 9 underworlds was even tighter than before. Not only were there more inscription formations, but there were also more experts guarding it. Lu Ming sensed carefully and sensed the auras of many primes. If I barge in now, I will alert the enemy. At that time, the Xie clan and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace will attack with all their might and block me inside. Not only will I not be able to save Senior Jiuyang and the others, but I will also be in danger. Lu Ming frowned as he thought of a countermeasure. On the day of the alliance, they will definitely send people to bring Senior Jiuyang and the others out. That will be the best time. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming had an idea. His figure flashed as he left this place. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the day of the alliance between the Xie clan and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace arrived. The holy city was unprecedentedly lively. The experts of Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and Xie clan gathered in the holy city. In the eastern wilderness, outside 9 Dragon City, space suddenly split open, and a figure stepped out. It was Lu Ming. After so many years, Lu Ming returned to 9 Dragon City once again. Whoosh! Lu Ming stepped out and disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared in 9 Dragon City. The defenses of 9 Dragon City were meaningless to Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped in the air, and the endless mountains and rivers of 9 Dragon City flashed under his feet. Soon, Lu Ming appeared in the depths of 9 Dragon City, at the dragon head of one of the dragon veins. Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming looked at the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, which was as tall as a mountain. His goal for this trip was the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. The Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron would definitely play a decisive role in this battle. Roar! The 9 Dragon bloodline appeared, and it roared toward the sky. Wang! As soon as the 9 Dragons bloodline appeared, the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron trembled, and the buzzing sound spread out for hundreds of thousands of miles. The Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron is moving. What's going on? Why is the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, which has not moved since ancient times, moving again? The unusual movement of the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron attracted the attention of the people nearby. Many figures flew across the void and flew over at an extremely fast speed. What's that? A dragon? Ah, that's 9 dragons. Lu Ming. It's Lu Ming. What? Lu Ming dares to come here? Many people shouted in shock when they saw the 9 dragons. Some people who had experienced the great battle of 9 Dragon City were very familiar with Lu Ming's 9 dragons bloodline. They recognized the 9 dragons bloodline at a glance and immediately cried out in fright. Rise! Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to those people. He focused on controlling the 9 dragons bloodline and resonating with the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. Wang! Buzz! The 9 Dragon Cauldron shook more and more violently. Eventually, it rose from the ground and flew towards Lu Ming, floating above Lu Ming's head. Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, come here! Lu Ming shouted. The 9 dragons wrapped around the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron and a mysterious aura rushed out in all directions. Clang! Another dragon vein shook violently. The second Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron moved and floated in the air, flying towards Lu Ming. Then, the third Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron moved as well. Swoosh! Swoosh! The Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron broke through the air. In the blink of an eye, there were 3 Divine 9 Dragon Cauldrons floating above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming, How dare you? Put down the divine nine-dragon cauldron. A few long roars came from afar. A few figures broke through the air and flew over. They were extremely fast. As soon as the voice sounded, they had already appeared above the dragon vein. The master of the Dongfang family, the master of the Kong family, Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. They were a few supremes. Some of them were old acquaintances. They were the masters of the other 6 ancient families. Lu Ming ignored them and continued to control the Nine Dragons' bloodline to summon the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. The Supremes' faces turned ugly after being ignored by Lu Ming. Let's attack together. The Supremes exchanged glances and reached a consensus. Bang! 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 A few brilliant rays of light burst out and shot towards Lu Ming. The rays of light were beautiful but filled with murderous intent. Piss off! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he took a step forward. Bang! A terrifying force crushed the space and surged toward the few supreme beings. The attacks of the Supremes were as weak as tofu before this force. 2 of the 9 Heavens Supremes even exploded and died on the spot. As for the masters of the 3 ancient families, they were sent flying for 1,000 miles and crashed into a dozen mountains. Blood spurted out from their mouths and their auras weakened. He killed 2 Supremes with 1 strike and severely injured the other 3. Such battle prowess was extremely shocking. In the distance, there was silence. No one dared to speak. Today, the experts of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace had all gone to the sacred city. Not a single sovereign was left behind. No one could stop Lu Ming. Is this Lu Ming's battle prowess? There were some young geniuses in the crowd. They were all on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness. Some of them had even competed with Lu Ming before. At this moment, they were looking at the figure on the dragon vein with dismay and shock. Back then, they were of the same generation and competed with each other. However, in just a few years, the distance between them and Lu Ming was already thousands of miles. There was no comparison at all. They knew that they would never be able to catch up to Lu Ming in this lifetime. Roar! The roar of the 9 dragons shook the sky. Clang! Clang! The divine 9-dragon cauldron kept vibrating. One after another, they flew towards Lu Ming. More and more divine 9-dragon cauldrons appeared above Lu Ming's head. 4 cauldrons, 5 cauldrons, 6 cauldrons. Quick, spread the news. Someone in the 9 dragons city ordered. Whoosh! Whoosh! Voice transmission jade talismans flew out one after another. However, as soon as they flew out of the 9 dragons city, a light screen rose up and intercepted all the voice transmission jade talismans. Several figures stood in the void outside the 9 dragons city. Among them, there was a dean of the World Academy who cultivated the path of inscription. There were also 7 or 8 supremes who cultivated the path of inscription. They had already set up a barrier outside the 9 dragons city to intercept the voice transmission jade talismans. Lu Ming summoned more and more divine 9-dragon cauldrons. In the end, all 9 cauldrons were gathered and suspended above Lu Ming's head. I'll lend it to you for a few days. After a few days, I'll let you return to where you came from, Lu Ming whispered. The 9 dragons opened their mouths and swallowed. All 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons flew into the mouth of the 9 dragons' bloodline and disappeared. Roar! 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 At this moment, the 9 dragon bloodlines in the 9 dragons city went berserk. They were like 9 real dragons that wanted to break through the sky. Lu Ming's face was calm as if he had expected this. He waved his hand and 9 inscription talismans flew out from his storage ring. The 9 inscription talismans flew out and flew towards a dragon bloodline. Chapter 1338. Suppress. Lu Ming whispered. The 9 inscription talisman scrolls landed on the 9 dragon veins. The endless inscriptions seemed to be alive as they spread over the dragon veins, temporarily suppressing them. The 9 dragon veins temporarily returned to peace. According to ancient legends, the divine 9-dragon cauldron was refined by an ancient expert to suppress the 9 dragon veins. If the divine 9-dragon cauldron was gone for too long, the 9 dragon veins would definitely rebel. Lu Ming had already expected this, so he had asked his second body to refine the 9 inscription talisman scrolls to suppress the 9 dragon veins. Although it could only suppress them for a few days was enough. After the dragon veins calmed down, Lu Ming put away the 9 dragon veins and took a step forward. In the next moment, he appeared outside the 9 dragon city. "Rise!" the old dean of the World Academy shouted. The other supremes assisted, and a barrier appeared outside the 9 dragon city. This barrier was used to block the voice transmission jade talisman, so that Die would not know that Lu Ming had come here to take away the divine 9 dragon cauldron. After setting up the barrier, they set off with Lu Ming. Soon, they returned to the northern plains through the transborder teleportation array. "Let's go to the holy city." With the order, figures tore through the space and headed toward the holy city. At the same time, the experts of the divine army also set off toward the holy city. The holy city was bustling. Above the holy city, a platform appeared in the void. On it, there were real dragons and divine phoenixes flying and killins roaring. This was the platform used by the Xie family during the million-year sacrifice. Now, they were using it again. It showed how much importance the Xie family placed on this alliance ceremony. "The Holy Emperor has arrived." A voice rang out, spreading throughout the entire sacred city. In the depths of the palace, figures flew out one after another. Leading them was the current Holy Emperor, Xie Qitian. Beside Xie Qitian, there was a white-haired old man. He was the previous generation's Holy Emperor. Other than that, there were more than a dozen people. Each of them had a powerful aura and were all emperors. A small portion of them were from the Xie family. The rest were from the Xie family's alliance and the emperors of other overlords. Many experts landed on the platform. Emperor Heavenly Divine Palaces Die and the other emperors have arrived. Another shout rang out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A group of experts flew over from afar and landed on the platform. The leader of the group was Emperor Die. Next to him were 2 old men. One of them was wearing a golden robe. He was the strong cultivator of the peak of the second emperor realm who had appeared at the World Academy. The other old man was wearing a long red robe. His aura was not any weaker than the golden-robed old man. Behind him, there were more than 10 other rulers following him. "Brother Die." Xie Qitian laughed and stepped forward to salute Die. "Brother Xie." Die bowed. To bring Xia Xia Ju bring Xia Xia. To bring Xia Xia Ju bring Xia. Xie Qitian instructed. "Yes. To the to be to be. To the be to the to die. Is. Now. Come. On. It." The entrance to the Abyss of Demons was to the north of the sacred city. After a while, they were far away from the center of the sacred city. When they were about to reach the entrance to the Abyss of Demons, at this moment, inscriptions appeared on Lu Ming's body. His figure almost disappeared and his aura was completely gone. Without a sound, Lu Ming appeared next to the person at the back. With a wave of his hand, that person did not even have time to react before Lu Ming put him into the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming's body wriggled rapidly. He looked exactly like that man. The emperor at the front seemed to have sensed something. He looked back, but he didn't find anything. That's strange. There was a fluctuation just now. The emperor frowned. He scanned the crowd with his spiritual consciousness, but he didn't find anything. He gave up and continued to fly forward. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally sneaked in without anyone noticing. This was also because Lu Ming had mastered the path of inscription. It was very mysterious. At the same time, he had the help of the mountain river diagram. Otherwise, it would have been impossible. It wasn't easy to swap under the nose of our emperor. Soon, they arrived at the entrance to the Abyss of Demons. With the emperor leading the way, they naturally entered the Abyss of Demons smoothly. Looking at the familiar environment, Lu Ming sighed. He didn't expect to come to the Abyss of Demons again so soon. Xia Jiuyang and the others are suppressed in the Abyss of Demons flames. Their cultivations are sealed, so they can't resist. But we still have to be careful. These people aren't simple, the leading emperor warned. He had a horse face. Lu Ming had never seen this emperor before, but it was obvious that he was the emperor of the Xie family. The Xie family indeed had a deep foundation. In the beginning, there were only 3 emperors in the Xie family, but it was obviously more than that. Who knew how many more emperors were hidden in the dark? Yes. The others responded. Okay. The horse-faced emperor nodded and led the group into the depths of the abyss of Demon's domain. Along the way, the horse-faced emperor released his emperor's aura. When the Demon Temple clan sensed it, they were almost scared to death and fled far away. Soon, they were hundreds of millions of miles deep into the abyss of Demon's domain. In front of them, a blazing heat could be felt. It was a volcano. This wasn't an ordinary volcano. The flames weren't ordinary flames, but the abyss of Demon's flames. When they stopped above the volcano, a strong murderous intent flashed in the depths of Lu Ming's eyes. This was because Lu Ming found a figure in each volcano. Lu Ming saw familiar figures. Supreme Nine Yang, Bai Shijin, Du Songjue. There were a total of 5 people. Except for Supreme Nine Yang, the other 4 were all sovereigns of the Talisman Puppet sect. The 5 of them were each suppressed in a volcano. Their bodies were bound by chains and suspended in midair. Within the volcanoes, the pitch-black 9 underworld's devil flame danced and burned the 5 of them constantly. This kind of abyss of Demon's flames wouldn't burn them to death immediately, but it would bring them endless pain. Moreover, the cultivation of Supreme Nine Yang and the other 4 had been sealed and they couldn't resist it. Lu Ming's eyes were as cold as a knife. Xie Zhuoyang, today is the day of your death. The horse-faced emperor looked down at Xie Zhuoyang and the others with a disdainful expression. Is that so? Your Xie clan and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace won't be arrogant for long. When Lu Ming returns, it will be the day of your death. Xie Zhuoyang, who was sitting in the volcano, looked up at the sky and said coldly. Lu Ming. He. The horse-faced emperor sneered and said with contempt, I don't mind telling you that Lu Ming has returned. What? Lu Ming has returned? Is it true? Zongzi has returned? Chapter 1339. Don't rejoice too early. Today is not only the day you die, but also Lu Ming, the horse-faced sovereign sneered. Lu Ming is also in your hands. Xie Zhuoyang asked in a deep voice, a little worried. Not yet, but it will happen soon. The horse-faced sovereign smiled and continued, I heard that Lu Ming is a righteous person. If he knows that you are going to be executed today, will he rush to the sacred city to save you? As long as he comes, he will die. You, despicable and shameless. You are using us. Don't even think about it. When Xie Zhuoyang, Bai Shijin, and the others heard the horse-faced sovereign's words, how could they not know the conspiracy of the Xie family and Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace? They were obviously using them to lure Lu Ming over. Scream. No matter how loud you scream, it's useless. The horse-faced sovereign sneered. Seeing the anxious look on Xie Zhuoyang and the others' faces, he felt extremely comfortable. At this moment, whoosh, whoosh. In the distance, a series of violent air-rending sounds could be heard. Before the sound had died down, there were already figures appearing in the surroundings. The Moshe clan. They were all members of the Moshe clan. Each of them had a towering demonic aura as they stared coldly at the horse-faced sovereign and the others. The aura of these Moshe clan members was extremely terrifying. They were stronger than any of the Moshe clan members that Lu Ming had encountered before. The one leading them was exceptionally burly and had a towering demonic aura. The vast demonic aura was unfathomable. A demonic emperor. The one leading them was actually a demonic emperor, the sovereign of the Moshe clan. The horse-faced sovereign's expression changed. Moshe clan, what are you trying to do? The horse-faced sovereign shouted. Of course, we are here to kill you. The demonic emperor of the Moshe clan said coldly. How dare you? Do you want to exterminate the clan? The horse-faced sovereign shouted. Exterminate the clan? If the Xie family could do that, my Moshe clan would have been exterminated long ago. Would you be so kind as to spare us? The sovereign of the Moshe clan mocked. Clang, clang. At this moment, the sound of chains breaking could be heard from the bottom of the volcano. Immediately after, 5 powerful auras rushed out from 5 of the volcanoes, and 5 people rushed out of the volcanoes. It was Xie Zhuoyang and the others. Xie Zhuoyang's body was like a burning sun. The terrifying power of fire caused the temperature within tens of thousands of miles to rapidly rise. Emperor! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The 9 Suns sovereign had actually broken through to the Emperor realm. Now, he should be called the 9 Suns sovereign. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. From the looks of it, they were not trapped at all and had taken the initiative to rush out of the volcano. You! How did you escape? The horse-faced emperor was shocked. Of course, with my help. Now, all of you can stay here. The emperor of the Mosha clan said, his voice filled with killing intent. Let's go and spread the news. The horse-faced ruler suddenly shouted and turned to leave. Stay. The devil emperor of the Mosha clan had been staring at the horse-faced divine emperor for a long time. As soon as the horse-faced divine emperor moved, the devil emperor of the Mosha clan moved as well. He clawed out a sharp claw light toward the horse-faced divine emperor. Kill. The other members of the Mosha clan also rushed towards the Xie family. Boom. On the other side, Xie Zhuoyang and the others had also made their move. Xie Zhuoyang threw out a punch that was like a sun, blasting toward the horse-faced divine emperor. The horse-faced divine emperor was shocked and tried his best to dodge. He did not dare to take Xie Zhuoyang's punch head-on at all. At the same time, Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, and the other 2 also launched an attack on the Xie family. Inscriptions appeared and the killing formation shone. Bai Shijin and the other 3 attacked, and the void was filled with terrifying killing formations. In an instant, a few people were killed. Lu Ming did not immediately reveal his true face. Anyway, Xie Zhuoyang and the others had the upper hand now, so he was not in a hurry. His figure swayed in the void, silently dodging some of the attacks. 9 Suns divine fists. The flames on Xie Zhuoyang's body became more and more turbulent. Vaguely, there were even shadows of 9 suns that appeared around his body. He threw out a punch that was like an exploding sun, blocking all the escape routes of the horse-faced divine emperor. The horse-faced divine emperor had no choice but to fight back. Boom. The 2 of them exchanged a blow. The horse-faced divine emperor's body shook violently, and he kept retreating. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He was no match for Xie Zhuoyang at all. As soon as he retreated, the Mosha clan's divine emperor's attack arrived. He could only desperately resist. The people brought by the horse-faced divine emperor were killed one after another. None of them could escape. Run, I must escape. The horse-faced divine emperor roared in his heart. His true ether seemed to be burning, and his domain covered his body. He blocked Xie Zhuoyang's attack head-on. Although he spat out a large mouthful of blood and his body was almost burnt, he successfully rushed out of the encirclement and flew frantically toward the exit of the 9 underworlds. Oh no, we can't let him escape. Xie Zhuoyang hurriedly chased after him. The Mosha clan's divine emperor also quickly chased after him. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and his figure disappeared from the crowd in a flash. Oh no, one of them escaped. Bai Shijin and Du Songjue's faces changed. The horse-faced divine emperor's speed was astonishing. At this time, he was running for his life, so he could be said to be extraordinary. In an instant, he traveled 1,000 miles. However, before he could escape 100,000 miles, inscriptions suddenly flickered in front of him, and a large formation appeared. In the large formation, 8 huge chains appeared and wrapped around the horse-faced divine emperor. Break. The horse-faced divine emperor's expression changed. He blasted a move at the chains, but his attack only caused a vibration and did not break the chains. How could this be? The horse-faced divine emperor was shocked. Even he could not break it. This large formation was obviously set up by a divine emperor. How could there be another divine emperor stopping him? In the next moment, a figure appeared and blocked in front of the horse-faced divine emperor. Zhao Po, it's you? No, you're not Zhao Po. The horse-faced divine emperor was stunned at first, then he roared angrily. He was very familiar with Zhao Po. It was impossible for him to set up a large formation that even he could not break. This person was not Zhao Po at all. Whoosh, whoosh. Behind him, Xie Zhuoyang and the Moshe clan's Divine Emperor had already caught up. Get lost! The horse-faced Divine Emperor roared and wanted to rush over from the other side, but there was also a large formation there. Chains covered the sky and blocked the horse-faced Divine Emperor. At this moment, Xie Zhuoyang and the Divine Emperor of the Moshe clan had caught up and surrounded the horse-faced Divine Emperor. Damn it! Who are you? The horse-faced Divine Emperor roared and stared at Lu Ming with killing intent. He wanted nothing more than to tear Lu Ming into pieces. If Lu Ming had not blocked him, he would definitely be able to escape. Xie Zhuoyang and the Divine Emperor of the Moshe clan also looked at Lu Ming curiously. Isn't Lu Ming with the horse-faced Divine Emperor? I didn't expect him to be able to stop the horse-faced Divine Emperor. What's more, he's clearly a Divine Emperor. If he's an enemy, it won't be good. Didn't you mention me just now? Lu Ming smiled, and then the shape of his face began to change, returning to his original appearance. You're Lu Ming. Chapter 1340. The horse-faced Emperor's eyes widened as he stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. Lu Ming, it's actually Lu Ming. When did Lu Ming sneak in? You were here at that time. The horse-faced Emperor remembered that when they were about to reach the entrance of the demon realm, he felt a slight fluctuation. When he checked, he did not find any traces. He thought that he was hallucinating, but now it seemed that Lu Ming had sneaked in at that time. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a corpse flew out. It was Zhao Po. Lu Ming, why are you here? The most surprised person was none other than Xie Zhuoyang. He looked at Lu Ming in surprise and disbelief. He could not believe that Lu Ming would appear here. What was even more unbelievable was Lu Ming's cultivation base. The auras emitted from Lu Ming's body were the aura of a level 9 inscriber and a ruler. Lu Ming has already broken through to become a ruler? No matter how much he valued Lu Ming, he still found it hard to believe. It had only been a short while, but Lu Ming had already broken through to become a ruler. Senior Zhuoyang, how have you been? Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, you shouldn't have come. Xie Zhuoyang thought of something and sighed. Let's kill this person first. Lu Ming looked at the horse-faced Emperor. You want to kill me? Don't even think about it. Lu Ming, you're going deep into the holy city today. You'll definitely die. The horse-faced Emperor roared and soared into the sky, wanting to escape from the sky. You won't be able to escape, Lu Ming said softly. At the same time, his body lit up, and a large formation appeared. Lu Ming stretched out 2 fingers, using them as a sword and slashing out. A sword chi appeared out of thin air and soared into the sky, slashing toward the horse-faced Emperor. The horse-faced Emperor was shocked and tried his best to resist. However, his domain could not withstand a single blow from the sword chi and was split open. The sword chi did not stop and continued to slash toward the horse-faced Emperor. The horse-faced Emperor screamed in pain as his body was split into 2 halves. The horse-faced Emperor had fallen. This scene was witnessed by Shijin, Du Songjue, and a few other Moshe clan experts who had caught up to them. Immediately, gasps could be heard from all of them. He killed a ruler with a single sword. What kind of combat power was that? Not only Shijin and the others, but Xie Zhuoyang and the Emperor were also dumbfounded. Emperor. Lu Ming Emperor's face was calm. Ming Lian's second body had just broken through to become a ruler, but his combat power could not be calculated with common sense. Engraving the second body and cultivating the Tao of engraving, each level was perfect, and each level had to have 10 spirit lamps lit. Besides, his second body had inherited the inheritance of the heavenly arcana saint, who was a martial sage. Lu Ming's second body was astonishingly powerful, be it in terms of the control of mental strength or the inscription array that he had mastered. The killing formation he had carved in his body was even more powerful. Therefore, even though Immortal's second body had just become a martial emperor, his combat power was on par with his main body. He could easily fight against a peak second-layer martial emperor. With his strength, killing an ordinary first-layer martial dominator would be a piece of cake. Zongzi, Shijin, Du Songjue, and the others stammered as they stared at Lu Ming. They were speechless, as if they were dreaming. It was already incredible enough to see Lu Ming here. Moreover, Lu Ming's combat power was even more incredible. It was no wonder that they were stunned for a while. Senior Bai, Senior Du. Lu Ming smiled and brought his fists together to greet them. Zongzi, Zongzi, it's really you. You've become a LV9 inscriber. Haha, that's great, that's great. Our talisman puppet sect finally has a LV9 inscriber. Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, and the others trembled in excitement and almost burst into tears. Lu Ming, why are you here? Di Yi and the Xie clan are trying to lure you here. Xie Jiuyang suddenly spoke, causing Bai Shijin and the others' hearts to skip a beat. Their expressions changed and the joy in their hearts disappeared. What was left was only worry. I know that. However, we still don't know who will win today. Then, Lu Ming briefly explained his plan to her. All right, seniors, let's go out now. Lu Ming said. No. Suddenly, a voice was heard. It was the Moshe clan's emperor. Why? Lu Ming looked at the Moshe clan's emperor and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The Moshe clan's emperor's expression changed. He was a little afraid of Lu Ming, but he still gritted his teeth and pointed at Xie Jiuyang and the others. They can't leave. This is the condition they agreed to. Condition? Lu Ming frowned. Lu Ming, it's like this, Xie Jiuyang immediately explained. It turned out that Xie Jiuyang and the others were able to escape because of the condition they had agreed to with the Moshe clan. Xie Jiuyang and Bai Shijin had agreed to join the Moshe clan and help them fight against the Xie clan for 500 years. In return, the Moshe clan would remove the seal on Xie Jiuyang and the others. That was why the previous scene had happened. Lu Ming roughly understood what had happened after listening to the explanation. The Mo Sha clan had been trapped by the Xie family, and they had been constantly sending people to hunt them down. The overall strength of the Mo Sha clan wasn't as strong as the Xie family, so they could only hide in the demon area of the netherworld. The Moshe clan had their eyes on Xie Jiuyang and the others' strength. As long as Xie Jiuyang and the others joined the Moshe clan, their strength would increase greatly. They would have more confidence to fight against the Xie clan in the future, and the Moshe clan's days would be better. After thinking about it, Lu Ming smiled and said, so it's because of this. Haha, the Moshe clan will never regain their freedom if you keep on defending like this. You've heard that I'm going to fight against the Xie clan. This is a chance for the Moshe clan. Why don't you come with me? As long as the Xie clan is destroyed, the Moshe clan will regain their freedom forever. Lu Ming's voice was full of temptation. The look in the Moshe clan's emperor's eyes changed. He seemed to be tempted, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and said, although you're strong, the Xie clan has a strong foundation. If you fight against the Xie clan, you'll only die. Apparently, the emperor of the Moshe clan didn't believe that Lu Ming could fight against the Xie family. Divine Emperor of Chaos Sky, Ciel Wan. I believe you know him. He's my ally. I was the one who saved him from the 9 underworlds. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he said. What? Ciel Wan is your ally? Will you be participating in this battle as well? The Moshe clan's emperor's eyes lit up. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded. Why should I believe you? He had to be careful because this was related to the survival of the Moshe clan. Following Lu Ming to the final battle was equivalent to putting the fate of the Moshe clan on the line. Do you believe her? Lu Ming's glabella glowed, and Xian Yanqing walked out from it. Lu Ming. Chapter 1341. I am the inheritor of Ciel Wan. The heavenly demon bloodline appeared above Xian Yanqing's head, and a shocking demonic aura spread in all directions. The Xie family's bloodline, and this, such a strong demonic aura, such a pure demonic aura. The Moshe clan's royal clan was shocked. How about now? Lu Ming asked. All right, the Moshe clan will take a gamble. We'll go with you and fight the Xie family to the death. The Moshe clan's royal clan gritted his teeth and agreed. Great, let's not waste any more time. Let's go. Lu Ming was delighted. The Moshe clan's strength was not weak, and it increased their strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They flew toward the exit of the 9th underworld's demon realm. Soon, The city at the exit of the ninth underworld's demon realm was in sight. Above the city, there was a light shield that enveloped the entire city. Clang! Lu Ming pointed his finger like a sword and slashed out. A sword light cut through the void and slashed toward the city. The light shield on the city could not withstand Lu Ming's sword aura at all. It was slashed open. The remaining force of the sword aura did not stop, and it almost split the entire city into two. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Prepare for battle! There was an uproar in the city, and countless powerful auras rushed up. Kill! Lu Ming and the others rushed toward the city. On the platform above the sacred city, Die, Xie Qitian, and the others had already taken their seats. In the north of the platform, there was a huge flag, tens of thousands of feet high, fluttering in the wind. This was their alliance flag. Die, Xie Qitian, and the others were drinking wine and waiting. They were waiting for Xie Jiuyang and the others to be brought here and killed. At the same time, they were also waiting for Lu Ming's arrival. Suddenly, a voice transmission jade talisman appeared in Xie Qitian's hand. He picked it up and his face changed. "What's going on?" Die asked. "Someone saved Xie Jiuyang and the others, and they're attacking the passage of the ninth underworld's demon realm. Brother Di, please wait here. I'll go and take them down." Xie Qitian got up and was about to lead the Xie clan's experts to the ninth underworld's demon realm. At this moment, figures appeared in the void outside the sacred city. Lu Ming, Xiel Wan, Yang Guangtu, and the barbarian emperor, and the experts of the divine army appeared on the other side. "Now," Lu said suddenly. Boom! Lu Ming stepped out. Heaven and earth were roaring and the void was exploding. A pitch-black void passageway extended toward the sacred city. A light screen appeared in the sky above the holy city, but when it was hit by the void passage, it began to shake violently. Boom! On the other side, Xiel Wan punched out, and a fist force smashed onto the light screen. Attack! The other rulers also attacked at the same time, including the powerhouses of the heaven-guarding divine army. At the same time, more than 20 rulers attacked together. The scene was earth-shattering. Bang! 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 Such a terrifying attack landed on the light screen, causing it to tremble violently. Crack! In the end, the light barrier couldn't take it anymore. Cracks appeared on it, spreading out like a spider web. Finally, with a bang, it exploded. Inside the holy city, just as Xie Qitian was about to take his people to the underworld demon domain, an earth-shattering rumble suddenly sounded in the sky. It was as if thousands of heavenly thunders were exploding, as if the world was going to collapse and the end of the world was coming. What happened? In the holy city, countless people looked up at the sky with horrified expressions. In the sky, there was an irresistible pressure spreading down, making everyone feel as if a great disaster was about to befall them. "They're finally here." Di looked up at the sky. "You came at the right time." Xie Qitian also looked up at the sky with cold eyes. "Catcher!" Boom! Suddenly, the sky rumbled violently. Numerous pitch-black spatial rifts appeared in the sky. The scene was spectacular and shocking. Then, one figure after another stepped out from those cracks. Every single one of them emitted an earth-shattering aura, as if they were the masters of the world. "Lu Ming, that's Lu Ming. And Xiel Wan." Someone in the holy city roared. The two people in the lead were Lu Ming and Xiel Wan. Lu Ming was the most powerful genius among the younger generation. At such a young age, he was able to kill an emperor and fight with a peak level 2 martial royal realm expert. He was a peerless genius and had never been seen before. Xiel Wan was the peerless expert of the ancient Saint Court's Xie family. 30,000 years ago, he had single-handedly stirred up a storm in the world, causing the extremely powerful ancient Saint Court's Xie family to plummet and lose control of the world. This had caused the world to be filled with experts fighting for supremacy. The two of them were the most powerful people in the divine region. At this moment, the two of them had come together. Boom! 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 Terrifying auras shot up into the sky. Die and the Emperor of Emperor Deity Palace released their auras and shot up into the sky, standing in the air with Lu Ming, Xiel Wan, and the others. Among them, Die and the two elders beside him had the most terrifying auras, as if they were the masters of the world. Just the three of them had auras that surpassed Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, Xielwan, since you're here today, stay here forever. The elder in the golden robe said, his killing intent cold. Not necessarily. Boom. On the other side, an old voice came from a crack in the space. Following which, more than 10 figures stepped out. They were the experts of the Divine Army. The moment the experts of the Divine Army appeared, their auras merged with Lu Ming and the others. Alright, since you're all here, let's settle this once and for all, Xie Qitian roared. The experts of the Xie family also shot up into the sky, joining Die and the others. Boom. The two sides added up to about 50 emperors. Their auras clashed, causing the entire holy city to shake. Below, in the holy city, countless people found it difficult to resist such pressure. It was as if they were facing the masters of the world. They could not help but kneel down, trembling in fear. Buzz. Buzz. At this moment, the entire holy city let out buzzing sounds as countless rays of light lit up. In the holy city, countless buildings and streets were covered with inscriptions, forming a large array that protected the holy city. The holy city had been passed down for millions of years. After being supported by generations of saint emperors, it could be said that the entire holy city was covered with inscriptions and was indestructible. The inscriptions filled the air and the large array appeared. Only then did the people in the holy city feel less pressured. Huff, huff, huff. Many people let out a long breath and realized that their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. The scene of dozens of emperors confronting each other was too terrifying. In the history of the divine wilderness continent, it had only happened a few times. Today, I'm afraid the world will fall apart. Someone sighed, knowing that an earth-shattering battle would happen today. Lu Ming, even if you're here, you won't be able to save Xie Zhuyang today. He must die today. Die's voice was heard. He looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Is that so? A clear voice was heard, but it was not Lu Ming's main body that spoke. Instead, it came from another direction. The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. Figures flew over and revealed themselves. That's Lu Ming, another Lu Ming. Chapter 1342. There were two Lu Ming. Everyone was stunned. Some people scanned with their spiritual senses and found that the two Lu Ming's auras were exactly the same. The only difference was that one of the Lu Ming's aura was the aura of martial arts. The other was the way of inscription. There were two Lu Ming's. What was going on? How was this possible? Many people were confused. They looked at each other. Lu Ming, it's you. It seems that you were the one who made a scene in the drunken immortal garden. Xie Qitian's pupils shrank as he spoke. There were countless wonderful techniques in the world. Perhaps Lu Ming had cultivated a certain kind of wonderful technique. That was why he had two clones that were similar to the cloning technique. Die was the calmest. He had guessed that Lu Ming had a similar secret technique. Back then, he had sensed that Lu Ming was in the Talisman Puppet sect, but Lu Ming had appeared in the Middle Continent's sacred city. Because of this, he made the wrong judgment and gave Lu Ming a few more years to cultivate. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming have grown to this level? Who else could it be? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Killing intent flashed in Xie Qitian's eyes. Many geniuses had died in the drunken immortal garden. Even Xie Zhen had become an idiot. These days, he had been hunting for the murderer. He did not expect that the murderer was Lu Ming, who had sneaked into the Ninth Serenity and rescued Xie Zhuyang and the others. His gaze swept past Lu Ming and fell on Xian Yanqing. Xie Qitian's eyes became colder. Xian Yanqing, how dare you show up here? You are a traitor of the Xie family. How dare you help an outsider against the Xie family? A person walked out from the platform and stared at Xian Yanqing. This person was Xie Qitian's younger brother, Xie Qiyu. Ha ha, traitor? Help an outsider? How ridiculous. The Xie family treated me like this. I have nothing to do with the Xie family. In my opinion, the Xie family is the outsider. Xian Yanqing sneered and looked at Xie Qiyu mockingly. Impudent. Xian Yanqing, let me tell you, you were born as a member of the Xie family, and you'll die as a ghost of the Xie family. You'll have to listen to the orders of the Xie family. If you don't listen, you'll be betraying your ancestors. Xie Qiyu shouted. Ha ha, how ridiculous, how ridiculous, how shameless. By the side, Xiel Wan laughed loudly. His gaze swept across the Xie clan members in disdain as he said, according to your logic, even if you are bullied, you cannot resist. And to be obedient? That's because you have a servile nature. Once you meet an expert, you can only become a slave. Such a clan is rotten to the core. What do you want it for? Why not destroy them? Many members of the Xie family turned pale and looked at Xiel Wan angrily. However, no one dared to speak. Xie Qiyu's face was cold, but he didn't dare to speak in front of Xiel Wan. He could only target Xian Yanqing and shouted, Xian Yanqing, your father is here, and your elders. If you don't kowtow and admit your wrongs now, perhaps they will spare your life. Bam! 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 As soon as Xie Qiyu finished speaking, Xian Yanqing took a step forward. She stepped through the air, causing the air to rumble with her steps. Xian Yanqing landed on the platform and said, I'm right here. If you have the ability, you can send someone to capture me. This was a challenge. Xian Yanqing challenged the Xie family. The members of the Xie family were silent. Send someone to take down Xian Yanqing? Who should they send? Xian Yanqing was from the younger generation. They could not send an old man who had cultivated for thousands of years, right? However, who in the younger generation of the Xie family was a match for Xian Yanqing? Xian Yanjuan used to be there. However, Xian Yanjuan was not here now. After a while, no one made a move. You don't have to send someone from the younger generation. Regardless of your generation, you can attack. Xian Yanqing said. Regardless of your generation, you can attack. His words were like a slap to the faces of the Xie family. This was undoubtedly a mockery. A person who was regarded as a rebel by the Xie family was invincible among the younger generation. No one could even send someone to attack him. This made many members of the Xie family blush. This brat is doing it on purpose. She wants to embarrass the Xie family. Xie Qiyu roared in his heart. Xian Yanqing, I'm here to take you down. A tall and slender man stepped out. This person looked to be almost 40 years old. However, he was actually 50 or 60 years old. He was 2 generations older than Lu Ming and the others. Bang! This person landed in front of Xian Yanqing. A powerful aura broke out of his body. 8th level spirit god. Xian Yanqing, surrender. The muscular man stretched out his hand. His majestic true essence condensed into a large hand and grabbed at Xian Yanqing. Since you attacked, you should be prepared to be killed, Xian Yanqing said. His voice was as cold as his gaze. His slender hand pressed forward lightly. The sky demon force field pressed down on the muscular man. Boom! The muscular man did not even have time to scream before his body suddenly exploded. Then, he turned into ashes and dust in the sky demon force field. So strong. Many people's hearts trembled. An 8th level spirit god expert was killed in one move. An 8th level spirit god expert was turned into ashes in one move. So strong. Experts gathered at the scene. Any supreme or emperor could easily do this. However, how old was Xian Yanqing? He was only in his 20s. Xian Yanqing had been with Lu Ming. Lu Ming's performance was too dazzling, causing everyone to overlook Xian Yanqing's existence. However, everyone had no choice but to re-evaluate Xian Yanqing now. At his age, there were not many people who could turn an 8th level spirit god expert into ashes in one move. How can he be so strong? He's just an anomaly. In the crowd, Xie Yang, Xian Yanlin, and the other Xie clan geniuses were pale. Xian Yanqing's action was the biggest blow to the Xie clan's younger generation. In the past, Xian Yanqing was just an anomaly in their eyes. However, this anomaly had far surpassed them and left them in the dust. They found it hard to accept. Xie clan, who else wants to attack? Xian Yanqing's cold voice sounded. The Xie clan was silent. Who else wanted to attack? An 8th-level spirit god expert was turned into ashes in one move. Xian Yanqing's battle prowess had at least reached the great circle of the spirit god realm. Could it be that the Xie clan had to send out a supreme to deal with a junior? Audacious. Impudent. What a ruthless method to kill a fellow clansman. Today, I must teach you a good lesson. With a loud shout, Xie Qiyu took a step forward. The aura of a supreme pressed down on Xian Yanqing. Ha, a supreme who has cultivated for thousands of years is attacking a junior and speaking in such a dignified manner. How shameless. Lu Ming sneered. His voice sounded from afar. Xie Qiyu's face was burning. He couldn't be bothered to pay attention to Lu Ming's words. He approached Xian Yanqing step by step. Kneel. Suddenly, Xie Qiyu shouted. The aura on his body burst out violently, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Xian Yanqing. Chapter 1343. But Xian Yanqing was like a cool breeze. He didn't feel anything at all. Even his clothes didn't flutter. You're the one who's kneeling. Xian Yanqing pressed her hand forward and the heavenly demon force field erupted, enveloping Xie Qiyu. The heavenly demon force field's powerful force field and terrifying destructive power instantly pressed down on Xie Qiyu. Crack. Xie Qiyu's expression changed drastically. He felt as if hundreds of mountains were pressing down on him. His body suddenly trembled and he almost knelt down. Break. Xie Qiyu roared and cast the embryonic form of his domain to resist the heavenly demon force field. The demonic aura on Xian Yanqing's body became denser. A round bead vaguely appeared between her eyebrows. At this moment, the power of her heavenly demon force field was instantly raised to the extreme. Xian Yanqing pressed her hand forward again. Boom. The embryonic form of Xie Qiyu's domain collapsed. He roared and knelt down in front of everyone's shocked eyes. Bang. Xie Qiyu knelt down heavily on the platform in front of Xian Yanqing. Ah. Xie Qiyu roared and struggled madly. His face turned the color of pig liver. As a chosen, it was already a great loss of face for him to act against a junior. But in the end, not only had he failed to take down Xian Yanqing, he hadn't even started fighting. Instead, he had been forced to kneel in front of Xian Yanqing in front of countless people. This was a great humiliation. It was worse than killing him. He was angry, he roared, he struggled, but it was useless in front of Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon force field. Xian Yanqing had obtained the inheritance of a supreme figure of the demonic Tao. His demonic Tao cultivation was incomparably pure and powerful. Moreover, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had already reached the great circle of the spirit god realm. Killing an ordinary supreme being was a piece of cake to him. Xie Qiyu didn't have much power to resist in front of Xian Yanqing. Kill. Xian Yanqing shouted. Her eyes were cold. She took a step forward and slashed at Xie Qiyu with her fingers like a sword. Some black lotus petals appeared at her fingertips, condensing into a lotus sword. Impudent. You dare. In the sky, a white-haired old man shouted angrily. He stepped out and charged toward Xian Yanqing. The pressure of an emperor pressed down on Xian Yanqing. This was an emperor of the Xie family. Boom. At the same time, the white-haired ruler struck out with his palm. A palm print as big as a mountain blasted toward Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing's expression changed. With her strength, she could easily kill an ordinary supreme being, but there was still a gap between her and a ruler. Just as Xian Yanqing was about to abandon Xie Qiyu to block the attack, a voice rang in her ears. Then, the lotus sword in her hand did not stop, slashing towards Xie Qiyu. No. Xie Qiyu roared in horror. Evil creature, how dare you? Above, Xie Qitian and the white-haired ruler roared. The white-haired ruler's palm print emitted a dazzling light, and its power was even more terrifying as it blasted toward Xian Yanqing. A dignified ruler actually joined forces with others to deal with a junior. How shameless. I'll be your opponent. A clear voice sounded. In front of the white-haired old man, a young figure suddenly appeared. It was Lu Ming's second body. Lu Ming's second body pointed his fingers like a sword. A sword light appeared and slashed out. The sword light easily split the white-haired old man's palm print into two halves. The sword light did not stop and continued to slash toward the white-haired ruler. Ah! Below, a scream was heard, and then it stopped abruptly. Blood spurted out, and Xiechiyu's head flew far away. His spiritual deity flew out, but it was also turned into ashes under the destructive power of the heavenly demon force field. Ah! Before Xiechiyu's body fell, a scream came from the sky above. The white-haired ruler's body retreated frantically. His face was pale, and one of his arms had disappeared. His eyes were filled with horror. If he had not retreated quickly just now, his entire body would have been split in half by Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming stepped forward. His long robe fluttered, and his killing intent was like a tide. Sword chi flickered from his fingers as he slashed toward the white-haired old man again. The power of this sword strike was terrifying and earth-shattering. The entire sky was split open by this sword strike. The terrifying sword power not only shocked the white-haired old man, but even the other rulers of the Xie family were shocked. They wanted to help, but it was too late. Whoosh! Suddenly, a milky white holy light condensed into a spear. It pierced through the void and shot toward Lu Ming. The terrifying power made Lu Ming's gaze freeze. The sword chi in his hand also changed its direction and slashed toward the holy light spear. Clang! A deafening collision sound was heard. The sword chi and the spear dissipated at the same time. Lu Ming's second body looked up at the sky. A gray-haired old man walked out from the dozen rulers of the Xie family. Holy light kept jumping in his hand, and another spear was condensed. Peak of the second level of the martial royal realm, an emperor from the heaven-suppressing divine army said in a solemn voice. This gray-haired old man was actually a peak expert of the second level of the martial royal realm. Xie Zhangqiong, his Xie Zhangqiong. Someone exclaimed as they recognized this person. It's him. Everyone who heard this person's name was shocked. Xie Zhangqiong was the younger brother of the previous saint emperor of the Xie family, and Xie Qitian's uncle. This person was amazing, and his talent was even greater than the previous saint emperor. However, it was rumored that after he became a ruler, he went overseas to seek the Great Way. Many people thought that he had died overseas, but they did not expect him to still be alive and guarding Holy City. The secret strength of the Xie family was indeed amazing. It's true that there are talents in every generation. Lu Ming, your talent is unprecedented. Let me be your opponent. The holy light spear in Xie Zhangqiong's hand became brighter and brighter, piercing the sky. Ha ha, Xie Zhangqiong, your opponent should be me. At this time, the old commander of the heaven-suppressing divine army laughed. His aura burst out, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. He stepped out into the void, and his aura locked on to Xie Zhangqiong. Xie Zhangqiong's face changed. The old commander's cultivation was also at the peak of the second level of the martial royal realm, and he was not weaker than him. He dared not be careless. Heaven-suppressing divine army, all traitors will be executed today. Xie Qitian shouted coldly, and his aura burst out. Boom! 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 Over a dozen rulers of the Xie family released their auras and suppressed the heaven-suppressing divine army. The heaven-suppressing divine army did not show any weakness. More than a dozen rulers released their auras and confronted the rulers of the Xie family. The atmosphere was tense, and a battle was about to break out. Clang! A golden sword light shot up into the sky. Even among the auras of the rulers, it was still dazzling and outstanding. It was Di. He looked at Lu Ming with a murderous look and said, Lu Ming, it's time to deal with you. Di's powerful aura suppressed Lu Ming. Bang! Ciel Wan stepped out, and his demonic chi was like a rainbow. His voice rang out, Di, your opponent is me. However, a golden figure appeared in front of Ciel Wan and blocked him. Ciel Wan, the previous battle was not decided. Let's continue today. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,